One thing high value women understand is that setting boundaries is how you communicate what you can or cannot accept when dealing with a man. The reality is, men will treat you based on what you allow. And that dating, that early phase, that getting to know each other phase, where you are vetting him, spending time with him, evaluating him, trying to figure out if he is the right fit for you, is the perfect time to set and enforce certain boundaries. That is why in today's video, I'll be sharing with you 6 boundaries high value women set early on in the relationship. Hello ladies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ayanine and I am so excited to have you here. So let's just jump into the first boundary every high value woman sets, and that's the one that communicates she is not available for impromptu dates, especially during the early stages of dating. You know that phase of getting to know each other? That's what I'm talking about. One thing I found out is that high value men, intentional high value men plan dates. They give you ample time to prepare, and that's just considerate. Not only that, him calling you days before the day he would like to see you means that he's factoring in your availability and giving you time to probably move things around on your schedule if you have to do that. I have been on both ends of this, I've gone on impromptu dates and I've also gone on planned dates, and I'll tell you this, I will take a planned date over an impromptu one any day. Most men who call you in the morning and expect you to be available in the evening either feel you have nothing better doing, feel he is entitled to your time, has no intention of wooing you properly, or is just bored and you popped into his mind. That's where you see men call women and say things like, "What you doing?" Or they send that irritating text, WYD. Ladies, impromptu dates put you under unnecessary pressure, because then you have to run helter-skelter trying to get ready for somebody who wasn't considerate enough to give you ample time to prepare. In the past, every time I accepted an impromptu date, I always ended up regretting it. There's one I remember vividly. This was years ago, and this guy came to my place to pick me up. We were driving around and he was asking me, "What would you like to do?" And I was telling him, "Whatever you want to do is fine." We drove around for a bit, and then he goes, "You know what, let's just go to my place and chill." And in my head I was like, oh my goodness, so that was the plan all along. My ex taught me the beauty of planned dates. The man was impeccable in that regard. He would call me on a Tuesday, right, and tell me, "Oh darling, I'd like to see you on Friday, or I'd like to see you on Saturday, let's have dinner." He would even tell me, I know you have to move things around, so just do that for me. And this made him 10 times more attractive. As a woman who is leveling up, who is coming into her worth, or who has come into her worth as a high value woman, you should not be available for impromptu dates. Again, I will qualify this, especially during the getting to know each other phase. I had to say that again because in a relationship, things are a bit fluid. You've learned each other's rhythm, certain boundaries have been communicated, and impromptu dates can be beautiful. Maybe he calls you up and he says, "Darling, I've been thinking about you. I'd like to see you today. Let's go have dinner somewhere." And because that's your man, that's your partner, it's easy for you to, be fluid in that regard. But for somebody who is still getting to know you, calling you in the morning, expecting you to be available in the evening, sending you what you're doing and all of that, set that boundary immediately. You're not available for that. You are only available for somebody who is intentional. Now, when you want to enforce this boundary, okay, you don't have to get aggressive or insulting where you tell him, "Oh, listen, don't call me today and tell me you want to see me tomorrow. I am busy. Don't you know I have a life?" No, you don't have to do any of that. If he calls you and it's impromptu and you have better things to do, or you feel like he's not being intentional, simply tell him you have plans, that he should have given you notice. And that's it. So that's boundary number 1. The second boundary high value women set is the one that communicates she will not always be available for late night calls or texts. A late night call can be sweet, it can be beautiful, especially maybe the man has told you he's going to be busy during the day and he says, "Listen, I'll call you at night, it's going to be late. If you are awake, I would love you to pick so we can chat for a bit. But if you're not, it's fine." That's a sweet person. And let's say he calls you, it's late, but you like him. He told you he was going to call late. You can pick up the phone, have a chat with him, and say goodnight to each other. That's beautiful. That's not the one I'm talking about. I am talking about the one where the man only calls you late at night or only texts you late at night as if his phone catches fire during the day. Another aspect to this is the one that will call you late at night and want to stay on the phone talking about absolutely nothing. Like you don't have anything to do. We did this when we were young, late night calls, MTN and co. When they made that possible, yeah, but who has that kind of time to do that? A lady shared with me that a man actually threw a tantrum when he called her at 11 and she picked and said, "Oh, I'm sleeping. I'll talk to you in the morning." And the guy went crazy. "You're picking my call and you're telling me that you're sleeping?" And I was like, "What did you do?" She said, "I just ended the call and went back to sleep." So how do you set your boundary in this particular regard? What you need to do here is choose a time for yourself that you will say, after this time, any man who we are doing talking to each other and all of that, if he calls me after this time, I am not going to pick up. So choose that time for yourself. And when he calls you after that time, you don't pick up. You can return the call in the morning and know, "Oh, I missed your call, I was asleep." And then you have your conversation. As long as he's an intelligent person, he would understand that you don't want to entertain late night calls. And that's how you enforce this particular boundary. So do not accept any man body shaming you. One negative comment about your body and you show him the door. Because in that comment is the true way he sees your body. Any other thing he tries to say like, "Oh, it's a joke, you can't take a joke, you're too sensitive," is him trying to do damage control. My younger sister shared something that happened to her, and the way she handled it made me so proud. She said there was this guy that they were getting to know each other. She liked him. He was so sweet, so kind to her. Until one day they were going out somewhere and she was in front, he was walking behind, and the next thing that came out of this guy's mouth was, "Look at your broad shoulders like a man's own." Because my sister has broad shoulders, like I do. So she said that comment was so hurtful that she turned and looked at him and shook her head. Instantly, he knew he had messed up, but there was nothing he could say at that point that would change her mind. She got into a taxi and she left him there. He called, tried to explain it was a joke, he didn't mean it, but she cut him out of her life because she told me, she said, "Ayani, it hurt. It really did." But she had to cut him out of her life because she knew that if she allowed their friendship to progress into a proper relationship, whenever she sees him, she will feel insecure about her body and try to, hide herself. And she had worked too hard to love her body to then go back to feeling that way. I was so proud of her. This one, do not accept it, do not accept it, do not accept it. Your self-respect has to be higher than whatever likeness you feel about him. And one thing too, stop talking about your body in a negative way in front of a man. Because when you do that, you are drawing his attention to flaws that he probably didn't even notice or flaws that you've magnified in your head. And then you're giving him permission to talk about those flaws. Is that what you want? I'm sure you don't want that. So enough, okay? You stop talking about yourself in a negative light, and also do not accept any man body shaming you. But before we get into number 4, if you are enjoying this video, you're learning something, there's somebody you think will benefit from this video, quickly click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with somebody. Thank you so much as you do that. The 4th boundary that every high value woman sets is the one that communicates she will not accept abuse of any kind, and that includes emotional, verbal, and physical. The second a man verbally abuses you or emotionally abuses you, you walk. And if he physically abuses you, you press charges. I have taken a former neighbor to court before for physically assaulting me. He was in prison and his lawyer, his girlfriend, family members, mother, father, they were begging left, right, center, and nothing changed my mind. And that guy got a taste of what it feels like to be on the receiving end. Ladies, a man should never ever feel that he can physically abuse you and walk away. Men know what they're doing. They know women who will accept such treatment and women who will not. And as a high value woman, you should be the one who will not accept abuse of any kind. Because if he physically abuses you and you go back to him, you are essentially saying that you have agreed to be his punching bag. No true high value woman will ever accept that. Get help if you think you need help, but don't allow a man to push you around and beat you up and do this to you. It is not worth it. Nothing is worth that. Now, I know that physical abuse is very easy to spot. He punches you or slaps you. Very easy, we all know what that looks like. But let's talk about verbal or emotional abuse that can be so subtle, you don't even realize it's happening until the damage has been done. It can be hard to know this one. So let me simplify it for you in case you're confused if this is happening to you. So the first sign that you are being verbally or emotionally abused is that you feel anxiety or even fear when you want to express your opinion or share your input with the man you're dealing with. It can be that simple and that complicated because that emotion is coming from a place where in the past, when you shared your opinion, he either talked down on it, made you feel like you had nothing intelligent to contribute, was dismissive, or even insulted you and your input. So because of that, you're scared of saying something. If you find that you feel unsafe or that you walk on eggshells around this man and he hasn't physically abused you or hit you, then know that he is doing another sort of damage, and that is emotionally or verbally abusing you. So watch out for that feeling. If maybe before you were not very certain and as you're watching this video, something is clicking in your brain and you're like, oh my God, I think this is happening to me. I want you to evaluate it properly, and if you do and you find out that this resonates deeply with you, please cut ties with that man instantly. Now, number 5, and that's the boundary that communicates she will not accept disrespect of any kind. If someone were to ask you now who a high value woman is, I'm sure you would list a lot of things. But let me tell you, at the core of it, when you take away every other thing and you come down to the core of it, a high value woman is a woman who knows her worth and has a high level of self-respect. That means she respects herself too much to accept disrespect from a man, no matter how she feels about him. It could be him disrespecting your job, your person, your family, your friends, your time, your business, and the list goes on and on. I'm going to share a story with you and put things in perspective. A very close friend of mine, and by the way, she gave me permission to share the story because it's a teachable moment anyways. She was having an argument with her partner, and the next thing he said to her was, "You're very stupid, you're very foolish." She said she was so shocked, she froze. She didn't understand what just happened. Her brain couldn't understand it because this has never happened before. And when her brain finally processed what he had said, she said she quietly and calmly picked her bag and left his house, and that was the end of that. The reason I'm sharing this story with you is that she could have made excuses for him. She could have said, oh, he was angry, that was why he said what he said, as if she wasn't angry in that moment and couldn't have said the same thing. But she respected him enough not to be insulting, and he chose to do that. And according to her, he even said it again, yes, I said it was stupid. Please respect is important. If the man pursuing you, trying to get to know you, does not respect you, then there is no need for anything else. Women make excuses for men a lot. That goes to the point of she could have said he was angry. We make excuses for men and we forget that men are not children. They know what they are doing. They know how to push boundaries and test you and see what they can get away with. And there are certain things you should not allow him get away with. And disrespect should be at the top of your list. I love the women in my circle. I really do, because I've studied everybody and I noticed that our self-respect is too high. Too high. Our self-respect is so high that even when we disrespect each other, the person who was disrespected, you will notice she enforces her boundaries immediately and the other person has to apologize and make amends. If we treat each other like that, how much more when we're dealing with a man? I'm saying that to say this. As a woman who allowed men to disrespect her, say things and do things, and she just tolerated it because she wanted to be understanding, it doesn't pay. I'm telling you, it leads nowhere. In fact, it damages you, your self-esteem, your self-confidence. It puts you in emotional turmoil. So if you feel disrespected, call attention to it and enforce your boundary. If it is something you think you don't want to ever tolerate again, you cut ties. Alright? And the final boundary high value women set is the one that communicates. She will not always be available, whether for dates, whether for phone calls and texts, getting to see each other and all the wonderful things. Because she has a life. No high value woman lives her entire life for a man, where everything she does revolves around that man. He calls her at 3 a.m. she's available. He messages her and she responds in 1.5 seconds. He calls for impromptu dates, she's there. Anything he wants. No high value woman does that. For you not to always be available means that you are building a life independent of the one you have or trying to build with him, which is so important to your journey as a high value woman. High value women are women who have purpose, women who have projects they're passionate about, women who are running businesses and building their careers, and they have friends and family that they enjoy spending time with. They have a full life going outside of the one with the man. And the man has to get comfortable with that early on. I have a few men I'm dating right now. And when I say dating, please don't crucify me. I mean getting to know, okay? Nothing exclusive, nothing defined. And they understand that I'm busy. And they understand that I'm not always available. Sometimes they will send me a message and I will not respond till hours later. Probably I'm filming like this. And they never get angry. They will just say, oh, I understand. Let me guess, you were filming. And I'll laugh and I'll say yes. What I've done there is I've let them understand that I will not always be available. And if you are always available, there's something fundamentally wrong there, because that tells me that you live for the man. You have nothing else going on. You're likely on your bed or on your couch watching sitcoms and scrolling through social media, waiting for the man to call you, and then you make yourself available to him. That is not the way of the high value woman. Okay, so if this is you, time to get your life working. And if you are a high value woman already with a full life, just let him know from the beginning you will not always be available. It is important for you to set these boundaries early on in the dating and getting to know each other phase to avoid issues later on in the relationship. And that's it for today's video, ladies. You know I love to hear your thoughts. So share with me which of these boundaries you think you were slacking on before and you're going to start enforcing. I look forward to reading your thoughts. Don't forget to like this video, share it with somebody who will find it valuable, subscribe to the channel, because when you do all of these things, you make this channel visible to ladies such as yourself. As always, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.